My whole family believes I was the one who found my mother that morning. My 11-year-old found her first. He came into my room at 6:40 a.m., shaking me awake, his whole body trembling. Mom, Grandma won't wake up. I already tried. I ran. She was in her recliner by the window, cold, her tea gone cold beside her. 81, bad heart. The paramedics said it looked peaceful, natural. I nodded along, but I told everyone a lie that same afternoon. When my brother Rick asked who found her, I said I did. Around 7. I didn't want Dylan tangled up in it. He was 11. He'd already seen enough. Rick just nodded slowly. Good. Kids shouldn't see that. For 3 days, that was the story. I found her. Dylan slept through it. And Dylan let me say it, which wasn't like him. The night before the funeral, he sat on the edge of his bed and wouldn't look at me. Mom, I have to tell you something. And you're gonna be mad I didn't say it before. You can tell me anything, baby. I woke up early. Like really early. I went downstairs for water. His voice dropped. Uncle Rick was there. With Grandma. I felt my skin go tight. What do you mean with her? He was holding a pillow over her face. She wasn't moving. And he was talking to her. Dylan started crying. He said, you should have just signed it. The room tilted. Rick had been staying over that week. To help, he said. Mom had told me 2 weeks earlier she was changing her will, cutting Rick down because he'd been draining her accounts. She'd found the withdrawals. She'd called a lawyer for that Monday. She died Sunday. Why didn't you say something? I whispered. Because he saw me. Dylan's whole face crumpled. He looked right at me and he said if I ever told anyone, he'd say I did it, that I smothered her. He said everyone would believe him over a kid. I held my son and I did not sleep. At 9 a.m., I called the detective whose card was still on my counter and I told him everything. He told me not to confront Rick. He told me to let him come to the repast after the funeral, where the whole family would be, and to wear something. So I wore the wire. The repast was in Mom's living room. 20 people eating off paper plates. I waited until Rick was refilling his drink in the kitchen alone and I walked in. Dylan told me what he saw Sunday morning. I said quietly. Rick didn't even flinch. He set his glass down. Your son has an imagination. He described the pillow, the gray one from the guest room. Then your son is confused. He stepped closer, lowering his voice so the others wouldn't hear. Or he's lying. You want to know what really happened? Your kid was the last one down there. That's what I'll tell the police. An 11-year-old and a frail old woman. Who do you think they'll You already said that to him, I said. Sunday morning. When you told him he'd take the fall, something shifted in his face. I never said that. You said you should have just signed it. To Mom, while the pillow was still on her face. His jaw locked. He glanced toward the doorway, then back at me, and his voice came out flat and mean. She wouldn't listen. 200,000, and she was going to hand it to you and the kid over a few withdrawals. I gave that woman 30 years. She said no. He shrugged. So I helped her sleep. It took 90 seconds. And no, nobody's going to believe a crying little boy over me. Say one word and I bury him with it. I don't need him to say a word, I said. That's when the detective stepped out of the hallway, where he'd been standing since 1 p.m., and 2 officers came through the front door past my stunned family. Rick looked at me. You wouldn't. I pulled the collar of my blouse down and showed him the wire taped against my chest. Everyone will believe a kid over you, I said, but it turns out they don't have to. He lunged for the back door and an officer had him against the counter before he took 2 steps. Plates crashing to the floor, my family screaming. They read him his rights over the sound of it. Dylan was standing in the doorway. He'd heard all of it. I crossed the room and pulled him into me and said the only thing that mattered. You told the truth, and I heard you the first time.